Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here with another Pokemon Sword and Shield moveset video guide on how to use Runerigus. This thing is a Ghost and Ground type, and that's amazing because it has 3 immunities in normal, fighting, and electric, and has a bunch of resistances as well. I think the biggest one being rock, being a really cool resist to that. And obviously, again, being immune to normal type attacks mean that it's a great spin blocker because it blocks rapid spin. So, the coolest thing about this Pokemon as well is its unique ability in Wandering Spirit. And the way it works is that if a Pokemon makes contact with this Pokemon, right? So if, let's say a Pokemon goes for U-turn, or a Corviknight goes for Brave Bird, or anything like that, any physical attack or any attack that makes contact, because it's not necessarily just physical attack, since Grass Knot counts too, if I'm not mistaken. It's a special move that makes contact. They will get the Wandering Spirit ability, whereas you will actually take their ability. So it's a built-in skill swap. So in the example that Galarian Darmanitan goes for U-turn on Runerigus, they will gain Wandering Spirit and you will take Guerrilla Tactics from them, right? And you get that until you switch out or die. That's the way it works. Same thing with them. If they switched out, they come back in with the their actual ability, if I'm not mistaken, because that's the way skill swap works too. But anyway, this Pokemon has a very unique combination of moves. It's the only Pokemon in this current game that has access to Trick Room, Stealth Rock, and Memento, which is why the first set we'll be talking about is the Trick Room set. The only other Pokemon that could do that in the past would be Uxie, which was very, very, very prominent on Trick Room teams, and I guess Smeargle if it wanted to sketch. Now, this set takes advantage of its great physical defense, and basically maxes that out by going 252 defense, and then the rest in HP and special defense. Basically, it's a cool Trick Room setter that can set up rocks for your team, and also Memento to get another Pokemon. Now, Trick Room and Stealth Rock are your given, right? You want to pair this Pokemon with other slow Pokemon, because the way Trick Room works is slower Pokemon move first, right? The slower you are, the faster you are in Trick Room. So this is very good for Pokemon that are really, really strong, but really, really slow, right? Good partners include Pokemon like Hatterene, as well as Caparaja. Choice Band Tyranitar as well can be really cool and can maximize its bulk. And Tyranitar is actually a really good fit with the rune because it resists the dark type attacks coming out at the rune itself. So, Trick Room and Stealth Rock are your given. Your next move is either Earthquake or Body Press. Body Press gives you a really strong attack. It comes off its 427 defense stat, right? So, it's a great move that hits dark types, which otherwise, you're kind of weak to, right? So, it will bop something like Hydreigon, Tyranitar, hit Mandibuzz for some decent damage as well. Hit normal types too. Umbreon in terms of dark types, obviously not normal types. But you can also use Earthquake, and Earthquake can be pretty cool for hitting Pokemon like Toxapex, or just a strong stab move in general. Though Body Press just ends up being very, very strong. Though it typically does depend on the team. I think one of the biggest things about this Pokemon is the fact that it's a Trick Room Pokemon that doesn't fear Excadrill. Basically with max defense, max HP, you take a +2 Adamant Life Orb Earthquake, and you knock it out back with Body Press, or you can set up Trick Room in front of it to either support your other members and go from there. So again, your offensive option is really up to you. I like Body Press a lot, but Earthquake is obviously an option too. And then your last move is either Memento or Destiny Bond. Memento allows you to sack yourself while lowering your opponent's stats, and basically getting in another Pokemon that can sweep under the Trick Room. Whereas Destiny Bond is a pretty cool option too, because if your opponent knocks you out, and as you go for Destiny Bond, you knock them out too, right? They die with you. However, keep in mind that you cannot stack Destiny Bond. You cannot spam Destiny Bond. It will fail the second time automatically. But a really cool combination is that if you go for Destiny Bond, and it basically can ensure you get up a Trick Room, because unless they knock you out or something like with an attack, they will die either way, or you'll get up Trick Room. Now, in terms of items, you either want Leftovers for longevity or Mental Herb. Mental Herb allows you to avoid moves like Taunt, moves like Encore and whatnot for at least one turn. So that's up to you. I personally like Leftovers for longevity, which is why it is slashed first. But again, it's a Trick Room setter, and you can use this in either UU or OU or whatever tier you want to try and use Trick Room Runerigus. The second set we have is, I believe, its second most viable set, and that's a physically defensive Stealth Rocker that can also Toxic Spike and can Will-O-Wisp as well. Will-O-Wisp allows you to cripple physical attackers. I already mentioned that this Pokemon deals with Excadrill. It deals with It can even take a crunch from Tyranitar, right? It takes physical hits as well from Corviknight. So Will-O-Wisp is really good for crippling those things and burning them and weakening their attacks. Toxic Spike allows you to wear down Pokemon in general, and Toxic Spike is really nice, especially because it's a Pokemon with Earthquake that actually threatens Toxapex. Don't get me wrong though, Toxapex is faster and Toxapex does not die to Earthquake, but at least it threatens that. So if you can get rid of Toxapex or even any grounded poison type, you can keep up your Toxic Spikes, and those can be really good for wearing down Pokemon like bulkier Pokemon like Seismitoad, Galarian, Corsola, and things like that. Will-O-Wisp is also really good for crippling dark types like Mandibuzz, which you might want to switch in, as well as Hydreigon. So maybe if it's a substitute leftovers Hydreigon, you cancel out their leftovers by burning them with Will-O-Wisp. But the idea behind it is a hazard setter that is also a spin blocker for what I already mentioned in Excadrill. You can run either Earthquake or Nightshade. Earthquake gives you a nice solid stab move versus Excadrill, and also wave hitting Tyranitar, and like I already mentioned, Toxapex. Whereas Nightshade is consistent damage, and it also allows you to break sub-bulk up Corviknight substitute, which is something that's pretty important considering it is a problem, right? But it's a good spin blocker, and if Corviknight touches you with Brave Bird, you'll get the pressure and they'll get the Wandering Spirit, and you can burn them and neutralize their attack. I think the biggest or the saddest thing is that Pain Split isn't currently available to Pokemon like this, whereas Cofagrigus could use Nasty Plot or Pain Split or Defensive Set. So this Pokemon definitely not having recovery is pretty sucky. I'm gonna be honest, it sucks. But it can still make use of other ways, despite recovery and Pain Split. And one of those is actually the next set we're talking about, which is a Rest set. And this set takes advantage of the fact that this Pokemon gets access to Iron Defense. And obviously, if you guys know how Iron Defense plus Body Press works, the higher defense, the stronger Body Press is. So it's basically like a Swords Dance for defense, right? So we're running Careful Nature, Max HP, Max Special Defense, because we're going to be boosting our physical defense, so there's no point in maximizing that. And the set is Iron Defense, Body Press. And this can work specifically, I think, in UU. I think this is a lot better in a tier where there's no Galarian Corsola, there's no Aegislash, there's no Toxapex, right? So this can work really solid in the UU tier, being a Pokemon that can take on the fighting types like Beware, for instance, or potentially Surfetch if it's Iron Defense up, or even Haxorus if it's Iron Defense up. But yeah, Iron Defense Body Press is your main way of breaking through. I mean, you have insane defensive stat after getting the +6 as well, obviously. And then you either can run Shadow Claw, Will-O-Wisp, or Earthquake as the next move. I like Shadow Claw because it allows you to hit ghost types like Gengar, Chandelure, Doublade, Jellicent, but Earthquake also hits all of those anyway. And the other option is Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp can give you a way of dealing with SD Doublade in the tier. It'll actually, because you're boosting your defense, Doublade is something that will not be able to break through you unless it crits you with Shadow Claw. But if you burn it, can't do that. But obviously, whereas Shadow Claw and Earthquake are not boosted by the Iron Defense, it's not like Swords Dance or anything. It's a shame this Pokemon didn't get Swords Dance, considering its counterpart has both Nasty Plot and Calm Mind. This Pokemon also has Nasty Plot and Calm Mind. I want to keep that in mind. But because it only has base 50 special attack, it's not really worth it, unfortunately. It just really sucks it didn't get Bulk Up or Swords Dance. I thought it would have. I definitely thought it would have. But yeah, Shadow Claw or Will-O-Wisp, and then Rest is your move. You have an insane special defense stat, and you'll be boosting your defense anyway. So this allows you to avoid status like Toxic from wearing you down, and also just for longevity purposes, which is why Leftovers is also the item of choice. And there's a Pokemon that if it's a last mon and your opponent doesn't have a Ghost type, man, it's a threat. It is definitely a threat. Toxic Spike support is very good for this. Drapion is a great partner, being able to resist the Dark type and the Ghost type attacks coming out of it, and also providing Toxic Spike support. I also like Weezing as well, which can do the exact same thing, and also deal with the Dark types that the Rune doesn't like to deal with anyway. The next set we have is kind of taking advantage of its base 95 attack. I really wish this Pokemon got Shadow Sneak because I think this would be a lot better, but it's a choice band set. And the set runs enough speed for Toxapex, right? Because if you want to use this thing in OU, for instance, I think outspeeding Toxapex and being able to threaten it with a Choice Band Earthquake is very much worth. And the rest is just put into attack to maximize overall damage, Adamant Nature, and then 160 HP, just the rest for bulk. But Earthquake, Body Press, and Stone Edge are your three moves that you guarantee need. Earthquake obviously is your stab ground type attack. Body press is actually still very strong because it comes off of a 326 defense stat, which is higher than a max attack Runerigus' 317 attack stat, right? And body press is actually still affected by choice band. I found that out. So it's a great way of dealing with dark types that, like, for example, Hydreigon does not want to take a choice band body press coming out at it. And then Stone Edge, Edgequake is just a great combination because they hit everything for neutral. So Stone Edge gives you a nice little way of also dealing with Pokemon like Mandibuzz upon switching, and just flying types in general that can avoid the Earthquake. Your last move can either be Shadow Claw or Trick. Trick will allow you to cripple bulkier teams that maybe you can't break through necessarily, whereas Shadow Claw gives you a stab, ghost type attack. But it's relatively weak at base 70. Now the last set is also trying to take advantage of its base 95 attack set, and it's more of an offensive Trick Room set, whereas it's Brave Nature, 0 speed IVs. Also, the Trick Room set I mentioned already, you saw it on the thing, but it was Relaxed Nature, 0 speed IVs, because it's Trick Room. You want to be the slowest on the Trick Room right when you're setting it up. But it's an offensive Trick Room setter. It has Earthquake, Body Press, and Shadow Claw. I think this will work better in the lower tiers, which is why I didn't bother putting Stone Edge for something like Mandibuzz. RU comes out January 1st, for instance, and UU, this can work as well as an offensive Trick Room setter. But Earthquake and Body Press, it's a lot of stuff for neutral, whereas Shadow Claw is your super effective ghost move at that. And you're just going to maximize your attack as well as your HP. But that's basically all I have for this Pokemon. And it's a really cool Pokemon. I really wish I had Swords Dance or Bulk Up. I hope it gets it later. I definitely hope it gets access to Pain Split, because then maybe you could do something fun with like Pain Split plus Curse on this Pokemon as well. Has a really wide move pool, but doesn't really have the special stat to abuse it. However, I mean, it does get good special moves: Earth Power, Energy Ball, Nasty Plot, Calm Mind, right? Shadow Ball. So like, it has a really cool move pool. Maybe in a draft league, whereas it's a controlled environment, right? Like, you see exactly what your opponent can bring. That could work. And maybe Hex can work on a defensive set as well if you want to use that over Earthquake or Nightshade. But that's really up to you. I feel like the same reason why Corsola uses Nightshade over Hex, this Pokemon would do the exact same thing, right? You want to get consistent damage and not use your low special attack stat. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys all enjoyed or learned something. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends. I'll see you actually later today with a Pokemon Sword and Shield Showdown live featuring this Pokemon. Also, it's the 24th when this goes up. That's basically, I'm Hispanic, right? I'm Puerto Rican and Italian. So that's kind of where we celebrate Christmas for us. So for those that are doing the exact same thing, have a Merry Christmas Eve. Otherwise, enjoy your Christmas tomorrow, which will still have a video either way. But yeah, goodbye, my friends.